let's get on to some more news, man. This was another thing that caused controversy. We're once again dealing with some DEI losers here. And the funny thing is, when I first saw these clips, I was like, of course I don't recognize the majority of them, but somebody pointed out that our good old incel lord Grums is in this clip. He's in this chat here, and he has an avatar. He's a VTuber now. I was like, look at this fucking loser right here, boy. Look at this loser here. So so we have people calling out this group of people who were doing this podcast, and once again they were talking about the creator of ZAU, right? And this was another unfortunate victim of SBI, which is We Baby Inc. And as soon as people found out that this game has We Baby Inc. dealing with it, that was working on it, then they immediately started piling on it. You know, pretty much every single game that We Baby Inc. Had a hold of, they started piling on before the game even came out, right? None of these people were even going to play the game. I know that they weren't even going to play the game. So they didn't even give it a chance. So this game was pretty much dead on arrival, right? This game was dead on arrival. It came out, not too many people played it. They still didn't care about whether the game was good or not because they already had their minds made up. So for some reason, this got brought up again. I don't know why they're still talking about this man, because all he's doing is just defending himself. Like on Twitter, all he's doing is defending himself. He's been getting crap for months about this game. This game isn't even, like, in the grand scheme of things. We have so many games that are out. This game isn't even relevant as far as like what you're playing right now, right? We have so many games out that this game is not relevant in that aspect, but they're keeping it relevant for the wrong reasons. They're not keeping it relevant because it's a good game or it's a bad game. They're keeping it relevant because they're still talking about this man who made this game about his culture and his father. If y'all haven't seen the clip, let's go ahead and watch it. But they were talking about this man is using his culture to grift and to play victim. How dare any of y'all Caucasian males say that he's using his culture to grift, to sell a game? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Let's watch the clip.
Keep in mind, while we play this, like, as we've already learned, he is an actor. Now that we know that in the future, now go back and watch this knowing that information and listen to how he talks.
Yeah, he's a mouthpiece.
And tries to manipulate you. Listen to how in his voice.
He tries to manipulate you. Manipulate what? This man wants to sell a video game. Hello? Are we dumb or stupid? He's trying to sell a video game. This is from last year, by the way. Last year during the video game rewards. Like, what are you talking about? He's an actor. He's what? Like, what?
Voice cracks when he starts talking about dramatic things. Just listen.
Oh, I'll catch on the voice cracks.
Look, I've loved games all my life. I mean, I played them all my life, man. From Kingdom Hearts.
Oh my God!
No, you didn't.
Golden Sun.
He's leaning really hard into it.
So they're denying what he's saying. They're just like, oh no, he's an actor. He's just saying the game that a lot of people like in the audience.
And it started with my dad, right? He got me
Wakanda Forever.
He understood, that games are.
This man said Wakanda Forever. They're literally putting out all the African slur. Like, it just made it into a slur. Wakanda Forever. Like, again, how can anyone take any of y'all serious?
An art form. It's a great space to enjoy and escape from the reality of the world. And he passed away a while back. And I'll tell you what, I'm still figuring it out.
You didn't meet him, though.
The way his hands moving under that cape looks fucking ridiculous. Sorry.
By the way, if you're like a British, like, black person, like, why? I'm sorry. I have no black person to bounce this off of.
Yeah,
why are you wearing like your
no
Rafiki or
because he's leaning?
Yeah, you're right. He's wearing this sort of like.
Why are you wearing the cape? The side.
White people talking about African culture, by the way. White people talking about African culture. Do we not know anything about why African people came to Europe, right? Came to the UK. Hello? There are lots of African people in the UK. And they're saying he's leaning into it. He doesn't know anything about his culture. Okay.
Oh, I got my Kwanzaa
I don't
costume
know,
on.
Sammy. His
Yeah,
game is
yeah,
based
exactly.
off of-
I got my Kwanzaa costume on. They're piling on, bro. They got it all. They got all the racial slurs, man. All of them.
Why are you wearing the Kwanzaa
His
thing?
game is based off of his culture, and he's leaning heavy into it too.
But he doesn't know his culture.
While speaking in an
He doesn't know his culture. Do y'all know this man? Do y'all know him personally? He doesn't know his culture. Again, it's the same thing as like being over in America, being black, and you're a white person saying, "Hey man, you don't know your culture. Go back to Africa." Well, let me tell you something. You know why I'm actually here, right? You know why I don't know my culture? That's fucking idiot, bro.
I know I
It's
can't
more
speak
English
for
than
him on
mine.
that. I don't know if he knows his culture, but listen,
I'm telling you, he doesn't know his fucking culture.
Bro, oh my god. And then one dude said, I don't know if he doesn't know his culture. And then the dude is like doubling down. Like, I know he doesn't know his culture. What? What are you talking about, bro? What the fuck? Again, this can't be real, right? This cannot be real. I know that's the ironic thing, Megas. That is the ironic thing. Most of them don't know. And if they did, that they wouldn't deny it because, you know, somewhere down the line, somebody was probably a slave master or, you know, something else. Like, you gonna deny that then if you found that out. You don't know your culture either. Like, what?
No. But he brings up his dad, and he's like, okay, you know what? Respectable. Brings up his dad, and his dad passed away.
But 4
here.
years ago,
Listen.
I decided that I needed to try and process my grief
like it
in
was
a way
his
that felt true to
invincibility
me
cloak.
and him. So I took the biggest risks of my life, and through everything that I had in making a game, a piece of art that honored him, an ode to the people we have loved and lost.
Wow, that is pure
I mean, this is like
manipulation.
fucking Hamlet here. This is
Pure
amazing.
manipulation.
What up,
Hi
Jericho?
guys, before I
Poor
show you this
Yorick,
piece of
I
shit
knew
that
him
I
well.
made, let me tell you that I'm going to immediately tie it to the death of my father so that you can
Is
only
that
think
not-
of that while you're watching. You
My father
bastard.
who
That's
was
so
black,
Not
by
just
the
a
way.
color thing, by the way, because Gerard
that's
did
like
the same.
feminine energy. That is,
Gerard
man.
did the same damn thing with his mom passing away from front.
That was a hard watch, man. That was a hard watch. All throughout this clip, and this is just a small sample, they said nothing about the video game other than one guy said that, oh, he did all of this to sell this piece of shit game that you didn't play anyways, right? That you didn't play anyways. They literally talked about his character for over 2 minutes, said he's an actor, said he doesn't know his culture, threw out little jabs saying Wakanda forever. Why is he trying to use a culture that he doesn't know? He's a black Brit. All of this was attacking this man's character. What does this have to do with the video game that he was trying to sell? What does this have to do with the premise of the video game that he was trying to sell? What does this have to do with him explaining his past and why he made this video game? Nothing. Nothing. And if anyone tries to say otherwise, please ban them because they are dumb and they are in denial and you are a loser. And I will be continuously checking every single one of these losers every time I see something like this. It needs to happen. Absolutely ridiculous. You were still talking about this man. Leave this man alone. Leave him alone. He's already suffered layoffs at his company. He most likely did not understand what was going on, and I don't think anybody would have successfully predicted what was going to happen with Sweet Baby Inc. and any company or anybody that did work with them. You think he thought that? No. He's already said that he worked with Sweet Baby Inc. because he didn't know how to make video games. That's why you get a consultant. That applies across the board. He did not understand that. Nobody could have predicted that. The sheer backlash that all of these poor companies had to receive because they dealt with one consulting company. And freaking insane. This is a short clip here, but
Didn't matter. Then he was crying.
Should have
and trying
been
to give the game
Spear
away.
Chucker Studios. It would have made more sense.
Spear Tucker Studios. I heard that one fucking before. Spear Trucker Studios. It's so fucking funny. And you have the nerve for people on the internet to be trying to defend this shit. Like, what? Come on, man. That stuff be pissing me off, bro. Spear Trucker Studios. You can do better than that. You can do better than that. You can do better than that, man. That's a low IQ racial insult. That's a low IQ racial insult. Come on, man. Do better. Do better than that. like, what are we talking about here, bro? That's no other way. Like, that was a jump scare. I was just like, bro, please leave this man alone. What even possessed y'all to even talk about this man again? Jesus. Oh man, that pissed me off so much. I didn't pull it up. Let me go back to my tweets because actually, did I say it? Nah, it wasn't that one. Let me see, because I had it at first. Where was it? This one here. This one's funny. This also came from Asmongo because Mighty Keith said this dude said an African man's gaming company should have been called Spirit Trucker Studios. This isn't a constructive comment or criticism. He's simply being racist to be racist. This type of behavior should not be on YouTube or anywhere for that matter. And then Asmongo, I guess he took a break from cleaning. He said, this is pretty funny though. I give this for the uninitiated. Spear Trucker is a racial term used for black people that doesn't have any other use or cultural relevance. While it's not one of the mainstream racial slurs, advanced racism enjoyers use it quite regularly. Now that's a new one. I haven't heard that one before. Advanced racism enjoyers. It sounds like a college course. Y'all want to take some advanced racism 101? I think that should be a college course. Advanced racism. Learn how to be a racist on an advanced level. We go teach y'all some real racial slurs. So you can use them against your enemies. Oh man, advanced racism. That shit is hilarious. I said advanced racism enjoyer is wild as hell. Who would be considered an expert racism enjoyer? Because I need to know what an expert race is at. That is, oh my god, that is so funny, bro. That is so funny. I laughed at that one. I said, all right, bro. I said, you got it. Let me see. Somebody said, yeah, even though she said she'd be a sarcastic, she said, how do you know all of this? He said, I've been on the internet for over 20 years. I know every single racial slur, dog whistle, or derogatory term that has ever been invented for a group of people. My man's on it. He's definitely an advanced racism enjoyer. He said, I'm making the comment because a lot of younger guys online genuinely don't know. It's for educational purposes. I'm telling you, bro, see? Asmongo could be a teacher, could be a college professor in advanced racism. Yes, please. Professor. Oh my goodness. So I laughed at that, bro. I said, all right, you got it for the day, bro. I ain't even mad at you no more. My man legit said advanced racism enjoyer. He said, I know everything, bro. I am definitely an expert on racism. I am definitely an expert here. I'm about to say, yeah, teach me some terms, bro. His man said, I know every single racial slur. Yeah, everyone. And I believe he's telling the truth. That's the crazy thing. I believe he's telling the truth. So that was hilarious. That was hilarious. All right, and then I want to follow up with this while we're showing the topic here. I have to say it, man. Like, Colin Moriarty, you definitely you turning the page, bro. I don't know. People saying that you trying to pander. I don't know, man. I just think you're learning. I think you're learning here. Cause I usually don't agree with this man at all, man. He's had some pretty crazy takes on video games. But he's been coming around. I've seen a couple clips of his. I'm like, damn, man, I'm surprised I agree with you here. And me and AB had a small conversation about this, and yeah, I do feel like he can't fully speak on this situation, but I want y'all to watch it. 7 minutes long, but I think it was important here because a lot of racists who either know that they're racist or don't know that they're racist, they won't accept someone from the class or the race or the ethnicity that they're making fun of to talk some sense into them because they already have their minds made up, right? But a white person who actually understands some things, if they say something, then some people will come around. Sometimes, but they'll listen to them. They'll listen to their own people. So, let's watch it at first. Like I said, I don't agree with everything, but damn, like some points you actually hit it, man. You actually hit it.
Colin, let's start with you. Who needs sorting?
I think again the culture warriors need sorting. I've seen what's been going on with my new friend Abu Bakr Salim, and who's the writer of and creator of Tales of Killzone ZAU. And I continue to believe that there are lots of valuable conversations to be had about social issues in games, about representation, about whatever. And I think that people that listen to these shows know that I'm actually pretty conservative person on this point, I guess, in that I believe that representation for representation's sake is maybe even counterproductive, and rather what you want. And this is actually something that me and Abu Bakr talked about on our show we did together, where I was like, I use James Bond as an example, where I'm like, we don't need a black James Bond or a Hispanic James Bond. We need a black character that's a new character that's black, and that's great. And he could be totally coded in quotes as James Bond, but we don't need to go that far with representation. But I also had him on the show, as people might. I
want to stop right there. How do y'all feel about that? How do y'all feel about characters who are like iconic characters and they may have been, white or another race that's not black, and then they get changed, down the line to somebody who is black, or they get changed to a woman? How do y'all feel about that? I just want to get some of y'all opinions. Because I know the James Bond, like you brought up that example, everybody's talking about Idris. Idris should be the next James Bond. There was a lot of backlash because, like, why do you want a black person to be James Bond? And we've seen other times when characters have been, quote unquote, race swapped, as you like to say. But how do y'all feel about that? Are y'all in favor of those type of changes happening, or do you not care about it? That argument is dumb. It's a movie. I disagree with that. Since James Bond is a code name on a singular character. Yeah, they literally say anybody could be James Bond. So they literally say anybody could be James Bond. I kind of agree. If Black Panther was white, I'd be heated. What if they made Black Panther white? Yeah. I feel like that's always like the go-to example. What if they made Black Panther white? So like, I get what you're trying to say, but. Yeah, I mean, the race swapping the other way is another reason why don't some people are upset, because they're like, well, what if it is that? Yeah, I was about to say it's such a false equivalence. Yeah, this White Panther did. It's not that deep to me. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, I'm in the middle. Like, I don't care either way. To be honest, I don't care either way. I think that again, if the character is still to its source material and you don't stray too far from it, then cool. I could care less, right? I could care less. Race swapping for a character who's racing the intergroups with it, yeah. They always do that dumbest argument without thinking, yeah. It does all the time, man. They could adopt a white man in Wakanda. They did. It was Bucky. they adopted Bucky. Exactly. So all right, let's continue.
Recall, because I felt like his particular game was being sucked into this vortex of social issues and contextless arguments that weren't rooted in what the game was. And I thought it was a pretty extraordinary game, actually, from a lot of perspectives, and was a lot of fun, and was not, quote unquote, woke in any
And he's again, if we kind of lost, we got on another topic and I stopped on there. But he's still talking about Kenzar, by the way.
By any stretch of the imagination, it's about loss, and it's about there's no white people in the game. It's just all black people. That's not woke.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of this is what I said on the show to him, and this is what I'll say again, is like a lot of the stuff that is being argued about comes off as racist. And that's different than what people are saying. In other words, there's a whole argument in corners of the industry, which I think are reasonable, about why are we forcing this in, or why are we changing the gender or race of this existing character and all that kind of stuff. And I think those are valuable conversations to have. And
what's up there? Yeah. So again, like this whole anti-woke thing has definitely taken a turn, because I feel like a lot of people, first of all, they just latched on to what, a few popular people have said, but this whole anti-woke thing has totally taken a left turn, because again, now this game in particular got attacked because of Sweet Baby Inc., right? Like, that's a fact. There's no way around it. But then it turned into, this game is woke because of the content in the game. It's not just Sweet Baby Inc. or whatever they did. They said that the game is woke because of the content of the game. And again, there's no white people in the game. And some people were thinking or saying, because there are no white people in the game, that this game is woke. So therefore, you are essentially saying that because there are black people in the game, and only black people, that this game is woke, and that it's a DEI mess. This man made a game. He's black. He made a game about his father, who was also black. It is a story about him and his family. Why would there be white people in there? Again, it's the low IQ people making low IQ arguments, right? That shouldn't say anything. How is it woke? There have been plenty of stories with just white people. We never called it woke. Been plenty of stories just about Japanese people, Japanese culture. Never called it woke. But black people, black people. And this is where the whole racism thing comes into play, right? Because it's targeted. You don't like a particular race or group of people, and you call out things that don't make any sense, and you're calling it woke, you're calling it DEI. This man made a game for himself. You're not used to black people making games, because again, it's hard for us to get into the industry as is. And then for the time that we do get in there, then we look like the token blacks, because we're sitting in the back corner where, all the senior directors, producers, they're the ones who make the big bucks making the game. And then you call us a token because, we're the only black person there. Or you say that, oh, that's a DEI hire. Right? This has been the ever-going argument that continues to happen. And I've said this on the podcast before. I'm like, yeah, maybe we should, try to, as best as we can. If we can get the resources for it, we can make our own studios and then make our own games. But nowadays, again, you'll just call it woke. If there was an all-black team of people who made a video game, you would call it woke. You'll say, why are there no white people there? If an entire team of women who made a video game, you would call it woke because there are no men there. Let's continue.
And I think a lot of that is unfairly maligned as being like, they hate women and they hate this and stuff. And I'm like, that's totally counterproductive too, and is worthy of ridicule as well. The people that love Princess Leia hate Star Wars with movies with women in them. Like the people that love Lando hate black people in Star Wars. Like none of that. I'm not saying any of that washes either. And that stuff should be ridiculed, right? The people that love Alien and Terminator and all get out of here,
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a reactionary nature to both of these arguments or both of these sides that I think are counterproductive. But with that said, there's no doubt that the conversation around, like, do we need to wedge in every race? Do people need to feel represented in everything they experience? All of that has been conflated in many corners with, there's black people in this. And now we're going to make like a big deal about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what's been happening. That's exactly what's been happening. I think that representation is important. I've said it before. I've said it again. But I'm also of the ilk. And again, I've said this before as well. I've never cared about what race was in my video game because at the end of the day, it's all fictional, right? We're just playing video games for entertainment. So I have never cared about what race I am playing. I never cared to be represented or feel represented in video games because I've just gotten used to it. It hasn't really been a big deal. And then, it's not just white people. You're dealing with aliens. You're dealing with other characters that don't have a race. So I've never cared. The only thing I care about is the game fun? Does it pique my interest? Is it playable? That's it. It's cool, in a game that I can make myself in there, but it's not a necessity for me. It is not a requirement for me. It has never been a requirement. Is the game fun? Yes or no?
I saw this with Subnautica, the sequel to Subnautica or whatever, where it's like, I think it's like a black guy and an Asian woman or something are the characters, the playable characters. And people are like, look, it's woke. And I'm like, well, what's woke about that?
Yeah.
Like, I think you guys are losing the plot. And if you don't realize that it comes off as racist and in some senses, I think is racist.
Yep.
Then that's your right, I guess. But I'm going to call that out. I just think, where is the careful consideration of the facts? Where are the educated, interesting people that can talk about this with depth and can see through all of the nonsense to get to the issues at hand without coming off as bigoted or as dismissive? Depending on what side you come on, you're on.
Man, you're not gonna find that, especially on that side. You're not gonna find it. It's going to be very difficult to have those type of conversations with someone who, again, already has their mind made up, already has a bias, already has a hate in their heart. You're not going to find it. And I would argue that a lot of people on that side have a very low IQ. They can't comprehend anything. They're just going to spew hateful things at you that aren't facts.
So I just think that these people need to continue to be checked.
Agreed.
Because I think it is in this case the definition of reactionary. When you are reacting to, an Asian woman or a black person or whatever, just because they exist as these new characters. They didn't say, like, I don't know anything about Subnautica, but I think I played it. I don't really remember, to be honest. But it's like, oh, there's like a white male pilot or whatever, or captain, and in the first game, and then in the second game, it's still him, but they just made him into a black guy. It's like, okay, that's weird, but that's not what happened here. So, like, why is your instinct to be upset about something? It's just like, is everything this bad? It can't be.
No,
I just don't believe it. And I think that we're like losing sight of obvious targets and things that are. So I've said this before. There's that video going around of that woman where it's being basically claimed that she just didn't hire any white people for her team, and like that's racist.
That was no, actually no, it wasn't, because that person who tweeted you and me, that wasn't that person, but I heard about that person who didn't hire any white people. I'm like, all right, well, it's funny, but I see why it called backlash.
And like, that's the kind of shit that people should be like doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on, being like, who the fuck is this? How can you get away with doing this? Like, blatantly illegal by American hiring practices and laws, also unethical, also bigoted. It's like, yeah, destroy that shit if that's true, right?
Yeah, it's not racist, but I mean, he technically is correct. But we still don't know 100%. Because I don't think that was fully fact checked or researched. I don't think that was 100% the case here. I just think it looked like that. But when people saw it, they just ran with that story. So I don't know if that was 100% fact checked or researched. If that was the full on intention, and if so, how did you get away with that? If someone combated that and challenged that and said, hey, you are not giving me a chance because of my race, which ironically has been the reason why we have laws in the first place, to protect us, the minorities, because that has been the case against us. So when it's reversed, it looks crazy, right? When it's reversed, it looks crazy. But that's what we've been dealing with.
And get to the bottom of that story. But like, what are we doing?
Right.
And it's just so disappointing because there's just no depth. And people are just, there's just so many. I don't like I think the term grifting is being way overused. And I don't think people even know what it means at this point, to be honest.
I also agree.
And I don't even think it's that. I think it's sheer mental retardation on a lot of people's points of view. Like there's like a lack of
brain rot. Yeah.
There's just, people just don't know. I came across this video about me the other day that this guy made, and I watched a little bit of it, and it was just shit talking me or whatever, but he was reading my tweets, and like I quoted him in one of the tweets, and he couldn't even read his own words like out loud, like the things he wrote. Like he had no idea what it was. I'm like, it's you said that. How can you not know that? And how can you're like talking about this stuff? I'm quoting you.
Yeah.
You know, that dude sound crazy. He ain't saying nothing else here, but that is wild though. Imagine somebody making a video about you and they're like pulling up your tweets, and the person who you're talking about quote tweeted you, and you can't even understand or comprehend what you said. That is great. I would love to find that tweet, like whatever tweet that was, man. Bravo, the person who made that video, because you congratulations, you played yourself. But anyways, so that's that. Like I said, there were definitely some things that I didn't agree with, and I would challenge. Shout out to Gene. I see Gene in here in this particular clip, so shout out to him. But yeah, that tends to not happen a lot. AB, you know, people who are on the podcast with somebody, they tend to not challenge the quote unquote A mic. I feel like more people need to push back too. Like, don't be afraid. Like, what's the worst they're gonna do? Kick you off the pod? But yeah, some of these things should have been challenged like then and there, but they just let them cook. So it is what it is. But overall, yeah, I did agree with a lot of points that he did say in this video. The gaming culture war, it has gotten totally out of hand. I mean, it's really been like that since the beginning, but people have totally lost what they're even upset about, what they're even fighting about. Like, again, just because black people are in a video game does not mean that it's automatically woke. Just because there's someone who's in the LGBTQ community does not mean that it's automatically woke. Just because there's a woman who may be the main character of a video game does not make it automatically woke, or a DEI situation. It does not mean the SBI worked on the video game. So a lot of this stuff is just totally lost here in this whole culture war. And like I said, I'm going to continue to check it as long as they continue to go on this tirade, on this hate brigade. I'm going to be right with them, pushing back. Because yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna say the R word. He said it here, but they're very dumb. They're very dumb, and it is low IQ, very low IQ. A lot of these people feel don't deserve to get the attention, but I think it's important. Just like Ethos, when he debated old boy, even though he black, but when he debated old boy, who just so confused about what he was even fighting about, what he was even mad about, with The Last of Us and with Ghost of Yotai, like we're not even understanding what we're upset about. You're just latching on to someone who said something that pulled at something in your brain. It triggered something up there, made you upset, it messed with your emotions, and that's how I got you at this point. And we need to get out of that. If you want to call it the Matrix, whatever the hell you want to call it, we need more people to jump out of it, because it's getting ridiculous. You seen a video about Dragon Dogma 2, said the game had too much DEI. Again, it's another buzzword. DEI is the buzzword of the year. DEI is the buzzword of the year. Said, dude, we got goblins and Griffith, and they worried about that. Exactly, man. But he was a fan of TBH. Yeah, right. He was a fan of TBH. Oh man, so that's that. Like I said, I actually agree with Colin, man. I don't know what's going on with Ethos, man, but like I said, I think the dude is I think he turned the corner a little bit. He said, oh boy was his friend. I was like, okay. Like, I don't know what intimate conversation. Maybe I need to go back and like look at whatever video that he was talking about when he had him on there. But he was like legit calling him his friend. I'm like, okay. So I don't know if that's his like, hey, I got a black friend, but he sounded genuine about it. So maybe he does. Like he said, he actually cares about him. Like he's tired of people going at his friend. So that's that. That's that conversation. Random video game news before we get to some actual video games, and I'm done yapping for the night. Saw this article here. 10 years later, Guerrilla admits it's done with Killzone. Remember we talking about Sony has lacked that true FPS, that one title that could successfully compete with Call of Duty, because it ain't Destiny and it for sure is not Concord. So a lot of people talking about Killzone, like, hey, whatever happened to that franchise? Why ain't y'all try to work on that again? So this article said it could be argued that Killzone made Guerrilla. Yeah, that's the first time I heard about Guerrilla Games was through Killzone. The intense all-universe first-person shooter debuted in 2004 G-Zine mode. That's 20 years, man. 20 years ago. Jeez. On PS2, introducing the next-generation title with phenomenal setting and story. It spawned 4 major follow-up titles, a couple of spin-offs, but since 2013, the franchise has stood abandoned by Guerrilla Games. If one of the most called-for games on the topic of revitalizing a forgotten franchise comes to the table, but in a recent interview, the team at Guerrilla confirmed it has long since been done with Killzone. So it took them 11 years just to tell us, man. For anybody who still had hope for Killzone, I'm sorry, man. They took it to the back, took it to the shed over 10 years ago, over a decade ago. So they said in 2017, Guerrilla Games released Horizon Zero Dawn, a post-apocalyptic PS4 exclusive that turned heads with ease. It was vibrant and punchy, and it represented an entire world of opportunity and freedom. It was the team's first game since, it was their first game since Killzone? Okay. So 4 years later, which many consider the final nail in the coffin for the shooter series, it was recently revealed in an interview with Horizon Zero Dawn spelled the ultimate end for Killzone, with Guerrilla fully pivoting away from their gritty FPS to focus on more colorful horizons. So saying, and I quote, "We were done with it as a team. As a studio, we needed to refresh the palette. It was by choice the opposite of Killzone. I think the themes that this story and the characters represent are relatable for all ages and people, like having found a family of friends and finding your place in the world." Damn, that's kind of deep, man. I didn't think that Horizon Zero Dawn meant that much. I didn't feel like that, but hey, if you did, then good for you. This came from Roy Posma. That came from Roy Posma. I said, hearing the words "done with this" sent a shock through my soul. Killzone wouldn't get to fall in love with as a kid, so I poured hundreds of hours into it and it introduced me to the world of first-person shooters. Damn, having Killzone introduce you to the world of first-person shooters though sounds crazy. I'm trying to think what was a game for me that introduced me to first-person shooters. I guess technically Doom, but I would argue it was GoldenEye for me. Yeah, I would argue it was GoldenEye Perfect Dark. And that was it. So all the people that cared about Killzone, man, they've been done, man. They've been done since 2013. So no hope, man. They ain't bringing it back, y'all. They are not bringing it back. So it's what it is. More layoff news and studios team being dismantled. The Prince of Persia, the Lost Crown team got disbanded at Ubisoft, man. I'm honestly tired of talking about Ubisoft news, man. Like, just every week, man. Every week, we're not getting any good news about this damn company. Like, jeez. So they said there won't be a sequel to The Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. It's actually a decent game, too. And the team that built the game no longer exists at Ubisoft. They said, according to a new rumor. Hold on. New rumor? Oh, man. We're talking about rumors. All right, so just keep that take that with a grain of salt. Ubisoft had disbanded the team behind the game after it failed to reach internal expectations. A sequel for the game was also pitched, but the company rejected it. The news was first revealed at the Gatos show at the Origami YouTube channel. The show was in French, but a user from Reset Era summarized the report. Like I said, the report claimed the decision about the future of the game was decided a few weeks after the release. Dang. And it was made clear by Ubisoft that after releasing DLC and cosmetics for the game, support will be done. It was also said the members of the core dev team fought for the aforementioned sequel and even more expansions. It said lastly, it said that Ubisoft didn't want another game because of higher ups in the company, because it would cannibalize the potential long-term sales of the first title. Okay, so again, this is a rumor, or they're labeling it as a rumor, so take that with a grain of salt. But again, with all the negative stuff we heard about Ubisoft, we're going to say this is true until we hear otherwise. And final bit of news, Netflix closed their game studio in California. Has anyone played a game on Netflix? I remember one time I went on there and I saw Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I said, what the heck? Why do I want to play this on my TV? Or why would I want to play this on my phone? I love San Andreas, but like on Netflix game, that just seems weird. And I definitely didn't want to play anything else. So it was saying it's another studio has fallen victim to the shutdowns with the gaming industry. Netflix's gaming studio in Southern California has officially shut down less than 2 years after opening. I honestly think it was just DOA. Netflix games, nobody wants to play these games through Netflix. It's the same as Amazon. Amazon, one of the biggest companies in the world, but nobody wants to play y'all games, man. Like, I keep trying, but it ain't been working. Let's see, starting in 2022, the studio internally known as Team Blue was created alongside all the other ventures Netflix has, as a company has invested its money into many different avenues over the last few years. However, it looks as if gaming might be a bust for the popular streaming service. The company has made some big hires over the last few years, hinting at some next level gaming hardware and games to come in the future. With names like former Halo creative lead Joseph Staten and more joining the team, many believe that Netflix has its foot well within the door of the gaming world. Now, though, the company is officially shutting down, wiping their entire team that was created. All this has been confirmed by a Netflix representative. So what's next? Leaves many with the question, will Netflix continue to strive towards success in the world of game development? I think they should stop. While it ultimately might close the door for the company, Netflix is still one of the largest platforms, blah, blah, blah. I remember along with the game section, I thought that they were going to double down on podcasts. And I don't remember seeing anything about that either. I think that would have been cool if they would have leaned more into podcasting. Like, again, I'm just thinking about like GI, for example, like being on Netflix. I think it would have gotten some more eyes. Like, just literally have a podcast section on Netflix and just have like whoever has a video version of their podcast to be on there. I think that would be another way. I'm not saying it'll be fully successful, but it's video and it could essentially be more original series that you could have on there on your platform, because that's what Netflix is, double tripling down on, is their original stuff. So I think that would have been interesting, but I never really saw anything transpire with that. So, and all these different ventures that Netflix is trying to get into, but at the end of the day, man, you're just a streaming site for movies and original series and nothing else.